Hello everyone. Today we will be covering the iPad workflow in FormIt. FormIt for iPad takes modeling into the world of touch for fast, easy sketching using your fingers or an Apple Pencil. For this you will need to download the FormIt app for free in the App Store and launch it on your iPad. I'm recording this video from an iPad, so just note that all of my selections are done only by touch and not with an Apple Pencil. So let's take a look at the user interface, since it's a bit different than we're used to. The top left displays the name of our sketch, and if we select the icon next to it, we are given options to save or close the file. Next to this is your Autodesk account login. If you have FormIt Pro, be sure to log in, as this unlocks solar analysis, energy analysis, weather stations, material library, and collaboration for this application. The bottom of the screen holds the standard toolbar with selection on the far left. On the iPad, you can either tap to select a single object, double tap to select all contiguous objects, tap and hold on a blank part of the canvas to access the context menu and select the lasso tool and set filters within the selection icon menu. Next, we have a combination of primitive tools and create sketch tools. The sun and shadows icon to turn on shadows, control date and time, use the sun editor, and if you have FormIt Pro, you can use solar analysis. The settings icon allows you to turn snap to grid on and off, as well as snap sound, displaying dimensions, hide group context, and change the project units. You can set a location in this app, and the energy icon allows you to generate an insight session. Next, you have an import icon for bringing in images and 3D models. The share icon allows you to share the FormIt file over AirDrop, text, or email. From here, you can also export the file, save an image, and print a screenshot image. Information will get you to any support you need, and if you have an account with Autodesk Docs, you can view your FormIt files in a web browser. The palette toolbar is on the right, and when you select the icons, a window will appear, and if you click the same icon again, it will hide. The navigation controls can be found in the view cube, and you can scroll through them. Similar to mouse functions, we can also access many of the navigation controls through familiar touchscreen actions, which I will go over shortly. The undo and redo arrows are at the left and right of the bottom of the canvas. There are limited tools appearing in the standard toolbar because the iPad workflow relies more on the context menu. So if you're looking for a familiar tool and not finding it in the standard toolbar, be sure and select your object and hold down for the context menu for more options. Now let's discuss how the touchscreen works for navigation and selection. To orbit, you touch and drag your finger. To zoom out, move two fingers together and move them apart to zoom in. To pan, touch two fingers to the screen and drag them. A single tap to select a specific edge or face, and double tap to select all parts of a solid or all touching objects, just like double-clicking on web or Windows. The equivalent of right-clicking is to touch and hold, and the context menu will appear. And now let's get into a workflow inspired by the FormIt Primer 1. Let's set a location, and I'm going to use Mies van der Rohe's Farnsworth House at 14520 River Road in Plano, Illinois. I will import satellite image and terrain, and I'll double tap to select the image. Once it's imported, I'll select the Properties palette and adjust the transparency so I can overlay a floor plan, and I'm going to make this transparency about 50%. Now go to the top view and orthographic view so we can begin drawing a rectangle to create a surface to paint the floor plan image on at the correct scale. We will begin with a rectangle, but it's important to note that all sketch tools are utilized in the same way, so select the rectangle tool and drag your finger across the screen until you see a large red circle with a small red circle inside, indicating you are placing a vertex. Once you lift your finger, the vertex will be placed, and now you tap and drag the red circle to your next vertex, lifting off when it is placed, and so on. I want this rectangle to be 144 feet by 96 feet, so I can paint the floor plan on it to scale. To edit the dimensions as I draw, simply tap them to activate the keyboard and type in the correct number. Now let's go to the Materials palette and press the plus symbol to add a material. Let's name it Floor Plan and click on the Texture folder and map to the floor plan file location. Since I'm on an iPad, it immediately looks in my recent photos, so I have saved it there. Now select the crop icon to set the size of the image. We can type in one side, and then we need to use the corner crops to get close to the measurement we want for the other side. Now change the transparency to about half, and to apply the material with the Materials palette open, select the surface, and then select the material, and it will apply. You may need to use the reverse face tool or rotate the face to 180 degrees to get the plan to show up in the correct orientation. And let's group the floor plan surface before we move on. With the surface still selected, drag it onto the satellite image to approximately the correct spot, and then hold down for the context menu and rotate it into position, which is about 9 degrees. Now we can align the grid to the site. Tap and hold on a blank part of the canvas, and in the context menu, select Set Axes tool, and snapping the widget to the floor plan rectangle, align it to the grid of our floor plan. Now let's turn off the Snap to Grid in settings, and let's use the rectangle tool again to outline the upper terrace and home floor plate, which will be 77 feet, 4 1/8 inch by 28 feet, 8 inches. Again, tap and drag until you see the red circles and only lift off once they appear at the correct starting point. To drag the face and make it a solid, tap once on the face to select it and tap and drag to move it. Again, you can tap into the dimensions and type in the exact measurement you want, which is 12 foot 2. Let's group this solid by double tapping and then tap and hold for the context menu and group it. Now you can open the Properties palette with the group selected and name it Main Building. Apply it to a new layer by making sure it is checked in blue and toggle on Use Levels. Now let's add levels in the Level palette. We will need 4. 1 at 0 foot 0 inches, 2 feet 2 inches, 4 feet 6 inches, and 17 feet 8 inches. We will name these by selecting the eye icon for information and name them Ground, Terrace, Main Building, and Top of Roof. Now we will jump ahead in the primer to show you how other tools work in the iPad. We need to array these columns across the floor plan, so double tap to select a column, tap again and hold for the context menu, and array. Select the length between, linear, 3 copies, and keep them grouped. Now move the red circle to the spot you want to reference the object. Tap somewhere on the geometry being arrayed and drag it to the right until you get 22 feet, or tap into the dimension and edit it. Now to make mullions, let's draw another face over the glass and drag it away from the building to make it 2 inches deep. Select the face we just moved and hold down to get to the context menu. Select the Offset Face tool and start dragging your finger across the face, and a blue line will show up indicating the offset. We only want it 2 inches inside of the edge. Now grab the large center face and drag into the building until it disappears, and tap to remove it from the solid. Group the solid, create a layer and name it Mullion, and apply the layer to the group. Once we have the model complete, it's time to add scenes. So let's set up our views by going to the Layers palette to turn off Terrain, Plan Image, and Massing. Let's select View Perspective and orbit around until we have a nice full view of the building and surroundings. Now go to the Scenes palette and press the plus button. The scene that is active will highlight orange and take on all of our current settings as long as they are checked on within the eye icon. You can use your View Camera button to see and edit the camera widgets, and you can press play to watch all of the scenes included in the animation. The Visual Styles palette allows you to change the feel of each scene with shadows, edge styles, and monotone surfaces. And there is not a section tool within the iPad platform, but if you open or import a file that contains section planes, you will have complete control of their location, layer visibility, and you can even copy and paste them to add more. Lastly, in the Export Share icon, you can export this file to Autodesk Docs if you're logged into your account, or you can export it locally to your machine. You can also select Save Image, and it will save a screen capture to your photos, which you can quickly share with a client or colleague. If you have Autodesk Docs, you can also do a Save As to Autodesk Docs or save locally in your Sketch Action menu. If we export to Autodesk Docs in the export icon, you're taken to the folder structure, and once I select a folder and press save, I'll be taken back to FormIt and given an information box saying exporting to Autodesk Docs. Don't exit FormIt until the upload is complete and a successfully exported to Autodesk Docs notification is shown to proceed. You can import 3D models from your Autodesk Docs or locally if you don't have an account. These models can be AXM, so you can import a whole FormIt model if you'd like. You can also import SAT, STL, or OBJ formats. As you can see, FormIt for iPad has nearly all of the features you've come to know, and it can be used on site to quickly generate and evaluate design options. You can create custom materials to add realism to your design. You can use shadow studies to show how the building will react to the site, and with FormIt Pro's solar analysis tools, it provides insight into the best strategies for shading the facade and also evaluates potential for solar panels. And that's it for a FormIt iPad workflow. Be sure to check out more videos on the FormIt YouTube channel.